Welcome to the Influence and Impact Summit presented by Platform University.
Know that your story matters and that you have a message that the world needs to hear.
You can get your message to the end user now so much easier.
It can't just be about you. Influence is about others.
And again, it all goes down to serving your audience and making a true, real connection with them.
Hi, I'm Michael Hyatt. Welcome to the Influence and Impact Summit presented by Platform University. We're so glad you're here, and I'm here with my friend Fawn Weaver. In case you don't know Fawn, she has an amazing history. She's a USA Today and New York Times best-selling author. She's also an investor, a marriage advocate, a TEDx alum, and she's also the founder of HappyWivesClub.com, which has over 1 million members in 110 different countries. And I've invited her here today to just talk about her influence journey and what we can learn to expand our own influence and increase our impact in the world. So, Fawn, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Michael.
You bet. Okay, so as you were reminding me, we met a few years ago at a platform conference, but
Yes.
I want people that don't know you to learn a little bit about your story. So what is it that you do now? Let's start with that. What is it that you do today? What does your life look like, and what do you most enjoy doing?
You know, my life looks like helping other people succeed. So I go into companies that are underperforming, and if there is a brand, if there's a product that I can either help or resurrect or increase the value, then I will invest in it. And then in the case of the current company that I am doing that with, I actually fly back and forth from LA to Portland because they have studios in each location, and I operate as the Chief Strategy Officer.
Terrific. Well, let's start with where you began and how the Happy Wives Club came to be. Just tell us your story from the very beginning, what some of the mile markers were along the way.
Yeah, you know, I was a hotel general manager, so I was working for Hilton, and I had a really bad day, a tough day with one of my team members and someone on my executive team, and it really bothered me. And I did what I always do in those scenarios. I called my husband. I said, listen, I need you here right now. And he drove across the city, and we went out for a frozen yogurt date. And along the way, fast forwarding, I'm having this terrible day. We're walking by a local Barnes & Noble shop, and in the front of it is one of the books, mini books, that just bash marriage and make it seem like it's an old ball and chain. So I'm here looking at this man who really I call for everything, I connect with in every area. And then I'm looking at this book, and then at the time, the Desperate Housewives were popping up everywhere, and the Real Housewives, or Desperate Housewives was the #1 show. Real Housewives were popping up everywhere. And so I don't know why, but it just sort of all came together at one moment. I said, this is crazy. This is not what wives look like that I know. We don't nag. Our husbands don't cheat. We actually have good lives. And so I wanted to represent that. And so in that moment, for whatever reason, the idea came to my mind to create a club for women who are like me, who are strong, but still have great marriages, have great businesses, have figured out how to manage multiple things at one time, but their marriage and their family is the nucleus of it all.
That's fantastic. So when you began this, did you kind of float the idea out there on the website, wondering if anybody would join or anybody would participate?
You know, it was the most random thing. So I literally paid $9.95. I went on and created a really quick site. I won't say who I used for because I know you're a big fan of WordPress, and that's who I use now, so we'll stick to that. But I just went on, created a quick template, and said, this is who I am. I believe that there are 1 million women like me around the world. I want to connect us all together so that we can shine a positive spotlight on marriage, because the media isn't going to show wives that are like me. So how about we all connect? And so I created this About Us, join the club, and that's it for the that was the entire site. And I sent the link to 5 of my girlfriends that all live within a 22-mile radius, and I said, you know, send this, email this, to every single happy wife that you know that looks at the media, that looks at television and says, we're not represented. Send that to them. And within 4 weeks, we were in more than 20 countries.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So what was kind of the offer to the women that joined this? Was it just kind of be part of another community where we can support each other, or was there more of a content proposition, or was the community the thing that you led with?
Listen, I didn't even know I had a blog till I came to Platform. I mean, it was the only thing I wanted to do is say, hey, Hollywood, there's this wonderful thing called wives that don't nag, that don't cheat, that don't go behind their husband's back. And by the way, there are really good men out there who love their that love their wives. And so that's all there was to it. There was nothing more than wanting to really just be the antithesis of what we all saw on television. If you look at every reality show, which is, I mean, clogging up our television right now, if you look at all of them, you have husband and wives that do this all day long. And I wanted to at least show the world there was another side to marriage. There was a positive side, a sunny side, upside, if you will. And so there was no forethought to it whatsoever. I wish I could say there was.
I love that. So if we were to go to the site now, how has it changed? What's different about it today than how it began?
Oh, it's completely different. It's content rich. And so if I send out something, I was just telling someone today, I had a post that is an older post that I decided to repurpose because it's been such a busy month. And I said, I've got to put some more content on here, but I have so much content already, different articles on date nights and great gifts for your family, or how to just improve your marriage, or how to take your marriage from good to great. And so I took an article that was about date nights, and I just changed a few words, updated it, sent it out on social media, and I think in the last couple weeks it's been viewed like 100,000 times. And so,
amazing.
So it's very content rich, but I have a community of women that just want to learn how to take their marriages from good to great, and so I'm constantly giving them content to help them to do that.
So is it a bona fide membership site where people pay so much a month to be part of it?
No, I'm not as fancy as you, Michael. It literally is, you join the club, you are involved in the community. Our community, for the most part, rests on Facebook, because on any given week, my posts are shared, and they are seen. I think the number this morning when I looked at it was like 2.5 million. It usually fluctuates between 2 million and 4 million a week. That's what it looks like. And so if you go to any given post that I put up, you're generally going to see hundreds, if not thousands, of women that are all talking to each other. And I post every single day, several times a day, so you'll see this constantly. And the posts get shared generally at least 100,000 shares a week, at least. Yeah.
That is just astonishing. My head is kind of exploding, so forgive me. But
oh, yeah.
There's so many things I want to ask you, but like one of the things that really is mind-boggling about this, and correct me if I'm wrong, you have a day job, right?
I have a 14 to 16 hours, 6 days a week job. So this is, at this point, I think the employee total is toppling, getting close to about 100. So yes, I have a day job. Right now, I am literally in the Sky Lounge of where my office is in Portland, because technically I live in LA. But I'm going back and forth between the two, and I said, I have to talk to Michael. The lighting is terrible where I am, so let me find something. So this morning I was like running around the building trying to find a space I could use to talk to you. So yes, amazing. I definitely have a day job.
Okay, I got to connect the dots for the people watching this. Some of you have made this excuse. It's rattling around in your head. I can hear it from here. You said, I can't build a platform because I have a day job. If I were full-time, like Michael Hyatt or any of these other people, that I could do it, but I can't because I got a full-time job. Fawn Weaver just took away your excuse.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that one of the reasons I've been able to build the community is it wasn't about me. I did
Yes.
not build a community around me. And so because it's a group of people, you have all of these different wives, other bloggers, who said, I want to be a part of this. So I have a content-rich site, not because I was able to do it all myself, but because I found other people that had the same belief as me, that had the same desire as me. And I said, hey, will you help me with my community? They're not paid to do it. They want to be a part of it. So when you have an idea that's bigger than yourself, then you bring other people on, and they want to help.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. In fact, the very next thing I was going to ask you was this whole idea of a personal brand versus kind of something that's bigger. And I know a lot of people, like I've gone the personal brand route, and then I've kind of leveraged that to build things like Platform University, where it's a more community-centric thing. But do you have any thoughts on that? Because people ask me all the time, should I build a personal brand, or should I find a name like the Happy Wives Club and build something like that?
I think it completely depends on what your desire is. So if your desire is to see your name somewhere, or if your desire is to be an author, listen, if your desire is to be an author, I would say build a personal brand. My route is a little trickier. Trying to sell books is a lot harder when it is not you. And it can be done. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, it can be done. But it's a lot more work when it is not you. So if your desire is to be a best-selling author, please build your own brand. But if your desire is to find a following and to cultivate a following that really feels involved. I mean, right now, you could send me something and say, Fawn, send it out on your community. Please, not everyone, don't do this because I won't. But you could send me something and say, Fawn, send it out to your community. I send it out, and by the end of the day, it's going to hit at least 100 and something thousand people. So there's a big platform there. It's just a matter of what your end game is. And for me, my end game is I wanted to shine a positive spotlight on marriage.
That's great. Yeah, so what I hear you saying is there's no right or wrong when it comes to this. Just a question of kind of what your strategy is and what the end game is. So both can be legit. That's the answer I would have given. Good answer. I do want to talk about your book. You mentioned that, and it's got the very intriguing title, almost unbelievable title, of The Argument-Free Marriage. And let me read the subtitle. 28 Days to Creating the Marriage You've Always Wanted with the Spouse You Already Have. Which, by the way, one of the most brilliant subtitles of all time. That is such a great promise.
Yeah.
So,
can I tell you something great about that title?
Yeah.
Someone in the Happy Wives Club community came up with it.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing. So how have you been so successful with this book, given the fact that you don't have a personal brand? You know, how did the marketing transpire, and how did you get it onto the bestseller list and all that?
Well, the book that is on the bestseller list is actually the first book, which is the Happy Wives Club. So the book that you have just came out not long ago. So I'll kind of float between the two very quickly. The Happy Wives Club, I traveled around the world, and I went to 12 countries and on 6 continents, and I interviewed couples happily married 25 years or more to deduce the common denominator. That book was really created for my community, saying, not only does this exist, and I know you guys send in your advice all the time, but I'm going to take the world on a journey to see where it exists and how the same thing you do in your marriage in America that makes it work is the same thing they're doing in South Africa that makes it work, and it's the same thing they're doing in the Philippines and Australia. What makes a marriage work is the same no matter where you are. So that's the book that debuted on the New York Times and then went on USA Today and all the rest of that stuff. This book, The Argument-Free Marriage, is a follow-up, if you will, but it's been interesting, and I will be really, really frank, because you were the publisher over at TN, over at Thomas Nelson, and they've been 2 very different journeys. And the reason is the first one, the audience was really mine. This one, I have an audience of happily married women. They're not necessarily caring about having an argument-free marriage, because whatever they do is working for them, right?
Right.
And so it's been a journey of figuring out how to find an audience outside of my exact audience. And so we've played with a lot of things, and we've toyed with a lot of things, and it's been good. It's been a good journey, but you figure it out as you go.
Well, I love the title. I would think that there are people, especially in the media, that just think this is impossible. This is going to be controversial, so I want to have you on to talk about it.
I have had a lot of that, and I have done a lot of press, and so that is where people outside of my community have heard about it. When I went to New York to do HuffPost Live, I was sitting with them, and it was so funny because I get off and you have all the paparazzi that are snapping pictures, and I'm getting out and I'm going, yeah, you guys aren't here. I assure you there's a movie star coming in after me. But the book itself, you know, for most books, the title itself is a title that it's to bring you in. And a lot of times they use titles that don't really reflect what's in the book. I can tell you that this one is truly 28 days to creating the marriage of your dreams with the spouse you already have. It is 28 days to an argument-free marriage is what it is. And so every day I just give another thing that you can do to build upon to either create an argue-less marriage, but there is proof in this book that argument-free marriages exist because mine is one of them, and it has been for 12 years.
Wow, that's beautiful. It's got to be incredibly gratifying to you to have this kind of impact in the world.
You know, for me, I want to say gratifying, but I think also it's humbling because I share my story, which is my true story, and I have to convince people that it's real. And for me, that's incredibly humbling because I'm such a transparent person. So I'll tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly about every aspect of my life from beginning to end. And to have, when I sit with the media on this book every single time, it's, is this real? Is this possible? And I go, it really is. And I feel bad sometimes that I have to convince people that a marriage like this exists. And I use this example with one of the hosts that I did a show with. I said, listen, if I were to sit down and tell you everything wrong with my husband and my marriage, would you believe me? And absolutely. And if I were to tell you everything right with my marriage and how amazing my husband is and how I love my life as Kay Weaver's wife, my license plate, by the way, if I were to tell you that, would you think I was hiding something? And the question becomes, why will we believe the negative, but we won't believe the positive? And that's what this book does, is it challenges the notion that every single couple out there is arguing to get what they want out of their marriage. Wow.
That's really good. Okay, so I'm still enamored with this idea that you've got this very, very full-time job, and I want to just kind of, we're going to start winding down the interview, but I want you to imagine that you're sitting with somebody across the table who has just said to you, I would love to build a platform, I'd love to add value to people, I've got a message I think that would resonate, but I don't have the time. I've got a full-time job, I've got a family and all that. What would you say to that friend who was asking for your advice? What's been the secret for you to make time in a very busy life for extending your influence and having greater impact?
I think that the key has been, I believe in it. And so you have to really, 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 truly believe that the message that you have is one that only you deliver. I can deliver a message on an argument-free marriage because I've been living it. I can start the Happy Wives Club because I'm a genuinely happily married wife. So what I would say is if whatever it is that you feel passionate about, you will not feel passionate about if you are the only person reading your blog, then don't do it. If you are the only person that is following you on social media for your message, if that is going to keep you from doing it, don't do it, because there will be a period of time where there isn't growth. There's going to be a period of time where you're putting out content. And let me tell you, when I first started putting out content on my blog, no one was reading it. And it is, you just keep doing it because you believe in it. And you have to do it and say, listen, if someone reads this and it blesses their life, if it is only 5 people, I am going to do it. You can't do it for the comments. You can't do it for how many likes or shares you're going to get. You're going to have to put out the content. Sometimes that content is going to fall flat, and you have to be okay with that. So if you believe that your message is important enough to put out there, whether or not people follow you, then you know it's time to do it and to get it out there.
So that's kind of, from your perspective, the first and most foundational thing to get nailed down.
Absolutely. You have to be willing to keep spreading the message even before people are listening, because they will only listen after you've consistently done it for a period of time. So for me, yes, Happy Wives Club began growing very quickly with people emailing each other saying, join the club. But as I mentioned to you, I had no content at the time. There was nothing on the site. So I had all of these people that were like, hey, so I'm now part of the club, now what? And when I began creating content, I didn't know how to drive people to my site. I didn't know how to get people to join me on Facebook or any social network for that matter. And so I had to keep at it and keep figuring it out. And the only reason I did that is I believed that the message I had was one that no one else would deliver if I didn't deliver it. And so I decided to do it no matter what.
Given the fact that you're so busy with your day job, how do you figure out what to prioritize and actually do? Because one of the common complaints I get from people who are making time to blog or podcast or whatever, they're saying, I just still feel so overwhelmed. I mean, there's all these different social media channels. It feels like it's never ending. There's always something else I could or should be doing. How do you prioritize what you're actually going to give yourself to and feel good about letting go of the rest?
All right, so I'm going to give you guys my biggest piece of advice. Whenever someone comes to me, and I do not say this because this is Michael Hyatt, and I assure you, I am not paid a cent and will get nothing in return for this. When someone sends me an email that wants to begin blogging, and if someone reaches out to me on social media and says, how did you build your platform? I ask them, before I will give them any advice, do you have Michael Hyatt's platform book? And if they don't, I require them to buy it and then come back to me and ask me if they have any more questions.
Wow. Thank you very much.
That's the piece of advice I would give. It's how I grew my platform, was literally following every piece of advice in that book. And to answer your question, with the social media, the reason why I don't get overwhelmed with social media is there's something in your platform book, and I don't know if you still recommend this, but in your platform book, years ago when I read it, you said focus on 2 social networks.
Yep, I still recommend that.
I've done.
That's
great. What I've done. So it's not overwhelming to me. Everyone that's joined Periscope, they keep sending me messages saying, join Periscope. You can have Periscope. And anything else, anything newfangled thing that comes out, Google Plus, everyone's Google Plus, Google Plus. And I just won't. I stick to Twitter and I stick to Facebook. And I'm okay with that. Does that mean I miss opportunities on the other social networks? Absolutely. Does it mean that the other social networks have things at there that I could be using that would be helpful, great tools? Absolutely. But my goal is to make sure I stay a happy wife and to make sure that my employees stay happy, and that means I can't be stressed out hopping around from social media to social media. So for anyone who's looking to build a platform, I will give you the same advice I give every single person who reaches out to me asking me that. Get the book, platform that is, read that, and then if you have any questions after that point, shoot me an email. I help everyone that reaches out to me, and you'd be surprised how many people I offer that to that never follow up.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. I didn't expect that, but you're very generous to recommend it. So what's next for you in terms of increasing your influence and impact? Do you see the time coming when you might actually make the jump and do this full-time, or are you just happy doing what you're doing and that's your calling?
I'll never make the jump full-time because even though there is a lot of money to be made, and I know you help people to make money in this area, I actually separate the 2 out in my life. I don't look at this as the place to make money. This platform is really to encourage people, and that's what it always has been. Where I make money is my investments. So in my real estate investments, in lifestyle brands, and technology, that's where I make money. That's where I'm passionate about making money. This other side of it, the Happy Wives Club and this particular platform, it really, I knew from the very beginning I did not want to build it to make money. And so I think that's another thing that people have to figure out. What is your end game? If your end game is to make money, then the route you take is different than the route like someone like me would take.
Well, that's fantastic. I so appreciate you coming on, Fawn. Your story is really different from the rest of the people that we've had on, and that's one of the reasons I love it so much. But you're so relatable, you've accomplished so much, and I just love the fact that you're encouraging people to have good marriages and celebrating those that do. Gail and I have been married for 37 years. You know, we're happily married, and it's just awesome to have that reinforced because the media doesn't do that. So thank you for your work.
Thank you.
And you guys that are watching this, I want you to go to happywivesclub.com and get connected with Fawn. And if there's somebody that you just know needs to hear this message, this interview today needs to be inspired, instructed, to know that there's an alternative to building a platform that Fawn's illustrated, then share this on your social media channels, share this with your friends, and don't forget, we're giving away 3 memberships to platformuniversity.com. The more you share, the more opportunity you have to win one of those. So Fawn, again, thank you so much for joining us. You've been terrific.
Thanks, Michael.
Welcome to the Influence and Impact Summit presented by Platform University.
Know that your story matters and that you have a message that the world needs to hear.
You can get your message to the end user now so much easier.
It can't just be about you. Influence is about others.
And again, it all goes down to serving your audience and making a true, real connection with them.